Hi, welcome back everyone. We'll have another little dialogue between myself, Mihai, and Olivia Ingle. Hi, Olivia. We had another video before, so this will be, let's say, part two, where she offered me a bunch of questions, more like from her perspective of being newer on this planet and from the perspective of her generation. So I really like the questions, and last time we just covered some of them. So let's continue today. And I know you have some questions around emotions and anger and expression, suppression. So yeah, let's start.
Great. Thank you for having me back for part two. I have a few questions ready. I can just start with these. So, do you think that anger can be necessary at all to express, or is it just a response or like a defense that comes up when you have a feeling that might cause pain or discomfort, or is it just covering something? And when should we express anger? Like, should we try to keep it to ourselves in one situation and transform it, or is it okay to express anger? Like societally, I know some situations, like a relationship or even politics or sports, might evoke anger that people accept, and in other situations, not so much. So,
Nice. So let me ask you something here, because it depends from what point of view are these questions. And I can see 2 points of view here. It's like some, let's say, lower yet fundamental point of view of, okay, what will be a healthy, integrated human being, or how, from the point of view of a healthy, authentic, overall integrated human being, like healed, from this point of view of like so-called well-being while being asleep. Yeah, so a lot of these things that I see on Instagram and on YouTube, and it's all some kind of optimization of the ego state and how the ego can be more well adjusted, and which is important. So from this point of view, or also there is this deeper perspective of from the point of view of people trying to get to the bottom of it, and becoming more conscious, evolutionary purposes, awakening, which from one angle includes the previous level. We cannot go to the next level without having reached some kind of base camp. But
mhm.
where are you talking from?
Yeah, maybe from the point of view of someone who feels like it's an opportunity. So, like, whenever you're experiencing anger or any kind of intense emotion like that, someone who's using it as an opportunity to, or wants to use it as an opportunity to wake up to their own limitations, or like use the anger to reflect on themselves, not just express it.
Yeah. Okay. So, from a point of view of the deeper evolutionary purpose, as well as
Yeah.
some kind of to understand ourselves and understand and be curious about these strong reactions. And
Mhm.
okay, well, um, also the tricky part is that we inherited this. These are ancient emotions, this anger and the frustration and the fear, and these are like millions and millions and millions of years old, wired in the mammalian brain. And then within that, we have the reptilian brain, and we have all of these animals within, and then the neofrontal cortex on top. So we are a mixed bag of primal, edgy, surviving. These are surviving emotions, the defense, threat, as you know, humanity was almost always in wars and pillaging and yeah. So these are ancient emotions in us, and we inherited them from the Neanderthal and even before. So they are still in us because we are the offspring of these people who live long enough to have a child. So although now the times are different and there are books and church and ashrams, we still have these animals within. So initially they are as for defense. Do we have enough awareness to read some threatening situation and respond appropriately? So the energy of anger in its pure forms is enough energy so we can handle the situation, to fight or to flee, to protect. The same with the fear, the body goes in the instinctive center automatically. When we are afraid, our breathing gets more shallow and we breathe less and we are very quiet and some kind of frozen feeling and intensity. And why? In the past, there's a big dinosaur or like a saber-toothed tiger, and going into this state of fear was necessary so we can make less noise, we can breathe less to be less smelled by the predator, and so we can hopefully survive. Then we go into this, and then ideally we relax. Saber-tooth tiger left, we relax. And now the problem is in our everyday life, we still have all of these mechanisms of ancient emotional mechanisms, and however, for most people it becomes kind of, they're unnecessary, they are chronic, often in a constant state of being pissed, displeased by every little thing, and by somebody cutting us in front of traffic, or somebody in line, or things are not going as smooth as I want, or somehow we still have the same emotion being triggered often in very different circumstances, and we have these buttons pushed chronically. So how to bring more intelligence and consciousness to this? Yeah, the idea is to be curious about these emotions and to try to understand them, how they are formed, what are the mechanism of their creation, and to understand actually they are different. Depending on where we are spiritually, we will behave differently. So all emotions ultimately, is not a problem. No emotion is a problem. Anger, frustration, fear, grief, they are human emotions, human conditions. So let's see. Your question again, I get into too much context here. Can be necessary to express or just a response defense mechanism to cover up other feelings that may cause pain or discomfort? Well, in men's work, which is some time of shadow work, there is this idea that there's healthy anger, some situation that evokes healthy anger. Maybe when somebody somehow messes with oneself, or somebody is trying to trick us, to lie, to steal, to break boundaries, to interfere. So somehow our space, whether it's physical, psychological, emotional, financial space, is messed with a malevolent intention or with a selfish, ignorant intention. Then there rises in us like, hey, this energy of anger, and it is necessary to have it. Sometimes we need basically the energy. This energy is necessary even for somebody who's highly conscious. Is necessary to have almost an alert on their dashboard, the computer dashboard, that there is some intrusion and there is some disrespect, or there's imposition or trickery, let alone if somebody, let's say, wants to steal something from you or attack you or attacked your loved one, or you see somebody hurting a child or a dog. There arises in us this, one of my teachers used to call it outrage, divine outrage. Why divine outrage? Because it's somehow a natural, universal emotion for anybody more developed emotionally. When you see some injustice happening, to be horrified, because deep down within we know we're all brothers and sisters, we're all the same. And so these actions, they go against the law, the divine law, the harmonious law. So sometimes we need this stronger reaction in order to take an action, in order to even be aware that, hey, this is not okay. Like, let's say, I have a client who has more of this pattern of mechanical goodness. He has anger suppression. It's hard for him to get angry. He learned early on anger is not healthy. His dad was super angry. He didn't want to be like his dad. And now he's a super nice personality, but the side effect is that because the anger is not online, somehow in his subconscious understanding, anger is bad, being angry is bad all the time. Then what happens is hard for him to put boundaries. His clients, they helps them out, and then for hours, and then they say, hey, I don't have much money, so just $10 is okay, or hey, I'll pay you later. And this goes on, and basically keeps being taken advantage of. He keeps being messed with. Then his resources, his time, his money is messed with. Or that he's invited to spend time with his brother, and then he's put to work, and he's promised that he's going to be paid, but he's never paid, and then he's made wrong. Yeah, and then he has all of these reactions. He doesn't know what's going on. So all these reactions that he has, all this legitimate. One should have, like, hey man, hey, this more pure anger. And if he had that, he would say, no, hey, this is not, I'm not going to work with you anymore if you take advantage of me. Like, hey, you are tricking me, you don't keep your word. So he's not doing that. I mean, he's starting to do that, but because his anger is deeply suppressed, is the fear of anger, there are clear situations where he will lose less energy in his life. He will be less taken by every person who wants to manipulate him and use him. If he had this anger online, and he would put boundaries and say, hey man, this is not okay to talk to me like that. Boundary number one. If this happens again, say it again. If this happens again, it means that, hey, this is not a good friend. So the energy of anger is necessary to be, from one angle, emotionally aware of some bad situations that it will be detrimental for my well-being to persist in. And then give us the right energy and power to say something, do something, leave. Sometimes, for me, it happened. There's a gentleman here in town who has serious mental health issues, and he walks around, talks to himself, and anyway, he has mental health issues, pretty serious, and he comes, interrupts you, and he comes to you, and sometimes he's more out of control, comes in your space, and so I am very kind by nature and benevolent. And I used to have this anger repression when I was younger, and I was afraid of anger, afraid of my own anger, and I despised people who are edgy and intense, and I wanted to be kind and loving all the time, which comes from a good place, but it's naive and it's very stunted. So I noticed that if I'll tell him, hey man, I'm on the phone, hey man, he will just walk all over me. He wouldn't, and I realized that, hey, I need to have a little stronger response. I'm not losing, I'm not flying off the handle, I'm not getting out of control, but I need to ramp up my response to put this, what's called in the Jungian, the warrior archetype. So I will be like, hey man, I'm on the phone. Hey, back off. So I need to intentionally, hey, back off, man. Hey, don't touch me. If I were to say, hey, please don't touch me, if it's okay with you, that's not going to work in this civilization. So now this will be a healthy anger. However, you're asking me here about the expression of it. Yeah, there's two things. There is anger and the expression of it. Well, if one is more conscious and has done inner work and has developed this ability to be with all feelings and not be identified with them, understand, yeah, one will not get super identified with it. One will still be able to be in control and lucid and act in a way that I wouldn't regret. Yeah. So that will be ideal, to be able to understand my anger, have enough space in my system to house it without being fully sucked into it, to understand where is it coming from. In the cases that I described before with my client or with myself, the need is, there's this model, nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg, which I appreciate, according to which any strong negative emotion, I mean, in under many negative emotions, unpleasant emotions, there's a need that is unmet. I don't always agree with this statement, because often we can often have unpleasant emotions that are totally unnecessary, self-created for churning on some imaginary stuff. But in that case, that all of them are, need of respect, need of honoring, need of trust, need of compensation, need of emotional safety. So these are all, they were broken, messed with. So if I know what this is and what it wants, I see on my dashboard that it says, hey, this is not okay. Because if we keep tolerating being messed with, then actually this is not kind, this is not loving, and we're going to lose a lot of energy and be used for people. And so from this point of view, if one is more conscious and understand all of this, one can respond. One can respond in an articulate, clear way. One doesn't need to curse, one doesn't need to shout. One can have a clear, firm boundary request. It's necessary to be able to have that. Here there are two pitfalls. Some people, they have this, and these are the two pitfalls with emotions that are repressed and suppressed, that we subconsciously, it's not okay to feel this, and I am frozen. I can't say no. I can't raise my voice. I can't, for some trauma aftermath, I can't do that. So that's a pitfall. And then there's the other pitfall, that I am chronically churning in reactive emotions, and I'm identified and in like angry all the time. Yeah, so either of them are problematic depending on one's tendency. Also, some people can have both. One can have a chronic expression of anger, frustration, injustice, judgment, often stewing in this, and underneath having sadness and fear, suppressed and repressed. Now, okay, if somebody has this anger suppression, is playing very likely this good boy pleasing. And so it's important to unwind that. It's a special type of work. It's important to unwind that and to rescue one's healthy anger. So I can put these boundaries. Yeah, now if somebody is flying off the handle often, now there's a different kind of work necessary. Somebody wants to evolve. Is that this non-expression of unpleasant emotion in the fourth way? That's a foundational practice. If we want to be more and more present, more conscious, and as soon as there is a strong wanting outburst, reactive emotion, to have the aim to shut up, don't hit anything, and try to get more present, more aware, not to calm it necessarily, but to be with this, to observe this emotion more clearly. That requires a lot of will, a lot of presence, and to endure this energy wants to, like a pressure cooker, wants to come out. And you need to do this in order to see what's this about. And sometimes this strong reaction emotion could be like a cover-up. Yeah, you asked me. It's a cover-up response. It's a defense mechanism. Could be I have this emotion because I have some wrong attitude, as Uspensky calls that, things should go my way, or everybody should pay me respects and treat me as if I'm royalty. So if somebody doesn't do that, then I'm going to be pissed. But I'm pissed because I have a faulty, deluded idea. Or I'm going on the highway and I expect and think that everybody should drive how I want them to drive, or the weather should be perfect all the time. So if reality doesn't match my deluded expectation, I'm going to be angry. So that is some kind of false anger in my book. It's just weakness. It's just a habitual way of leaking life energy and churning in our pain body. And very likely it is with this kind of reactive emotions, it's important to stop the expression, be more aware of it, and investigate and find out what this is about. So there are different ways to go about it, and there are different things we're going to find out. Often we have a strong trigger. This is now talking about triggers, yeah? We have a strong trigger because some situation in the present pushes a button that goes into a painful file of situations in the past where I felt like this in childhood often, or my stepfather kept doing this to me, or even looked at me in a certain way, which as a child I took it on that I don't matter and I'm here for his own pleasure. Yeah, so I'm basically, we are often having these reactive emotions in reaction not to the situation, but to some story I tell myself. So from this point of view, in my work with others and myself, is whenever there's a strong emotion, no matter what, I don't express it, get more present and find out what is this. And I may find out that behind it there's my old story and my own button, which is projection. It's a lot of story, judgments, imagination that has nothing to do with the other guy or the situation. And for the deep seeing of it, it's like, oh wow, I see, it's gone. Now the emotion is gone because I saw what drives it. And sometimes I have this anger or I have this something, and as I investigate, I'm like, dude, this doesn't feel good. I need to talk to them. And then I'll talk to them. But now, just you said, can be necessary to express, or is just a response defense mechanism to cover up other feelings that might cause pain or discomfort? Often is like this, especially people who haven't done shadow work, and especially, I think men, but also women, but men in particular, the conditioning, male conditioning from the 50s, 60s, 70s is this kind of John Wayne, strong, masculine, the leader, patriarch, I got this, quiet, silent, masculine energy, a superhero, and this superhero doesn't cry. We don't cry. We're not sad. We're not afraid. Even if we are sad, grief, hurt. No, we're not hurt. No, no. So hurt, vulnerable, sad, afraid, that is not okay. That is weak, and definitely don't show it. Yeah, that's the pervasive male programming. Not all have been raised like that, but that's the male programming. And so, however, the only emotion that was okay was anger. Either it's okay because, as you said, at the bar or in sports or the politics, they get angry or daddy gets angry. So the little boy finds out that it's not seen well to feel and show sadness, grief, or fear, because we are made wrong, or we are explained that, hey, you shouldn't feel like this because of this or that. So then the only thing that's allowed is anger. So I noticed in intensives, men's shadow work, people get into some place of wound and they do some kind of psychodrama there, playing out some situation from childhood, and the almost 9 out of 10 of the men, they will go into anger. It's like anger, rage. And then we will encourage them in a ritual way to go for it. But it was a ritual way, kind of cathartic, to, I don't know, have a baseball bat and hit some pillows while looking at somebody who plays my stepdad, or to punch certain things to get this energy out. Or anytime there's a big anger that goes on for some time, and I will notice 9 out of 10, as that finishes, the person gets quiet and then they start crying.
Right.
So basically, the anger is usually the cork on a bottle of a lot of other emotions. And the anger comes because that's the only one that was allowed and societally okay for men. But often men who haven't done shadow work or awareness shadow work, they often go into anger. But if I were to explore underneath, they will see that underneath there is fear. There's fear of being abandoned. There is a shame that they might have done something, but now they are angry to make you wrong and gaslight you. There can be hurt. And, to have a good relationship, intimate relationship, such men needs to go beyond that. Because now we constantly come with this reactive anger at the woman that is scary, and then it shuts her down for some time until she's not going to be shut down anymore, and then you're going to have a fight. So for women, it was kind of opposite in a way, that the pervasive conditioning for millennia, now it's changed because the feminism, and there's seeming equality, and there is seeming what's happening now. But what's happening now is like 100 years old or less. So for millennia, if a woman is angry, it wouldn't go well for her, So the woman was expected to be subservient, to be a property, to be a tool, to be a servant. And so she was bred both by her parents, her mother, as well as the society and the patriarchy, to be sweet and kind and not be angry. Maybe hurt or sadness is okay for hurt, sadness, or fear to a woman to feel, but if she had more anger, now she would be labeled as hysterical, which is even the grandfathers of psychology. They had this, the Freud and hysterical. or crazy or bitchy or irrational.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so for a woman, she may naturally go, something really upsetting can happen and they're actually angry, but they can't go there. So they go into kind of collapse, feeling unloved, um,
Mm-hmm.
shut down, it's my fault, or sad. But now it's an opportunity for women, hopefully they are more conscious men. That's what I want in my relationships and in the circles I am with, that
Mm-hmm.
I think it was even in the Gospel of Thomas that it was saying that, I mean, it's very esoteric, but until you make the outside like the inside, and the man like the woman, and the woman like a man, and both like children,
Mm-hmm.
you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, that's a big esoteric piece there, but yeah, I part of the conscious work of the man is to discover his feminine and to rescue the feminine, because we have a lot of tender feelings and sensitivity, and to be able to, through shadow work and repression work, emotional literacy work, to be totally okay to feel these more vulnerable feelings,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to be in touch with them. It doesn't mean to wallow in them or to be collapsed for weeks in them. Also to be in touch with anger, but not fly off the handle. Uh, and for a woman, the same, to be able to rescue her masculine side
Mm-hmm.
in terms of boundary, and to say no, and this is not okay. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking how many different expressions or reasons you could have, and the differences between the men and women are very interesting. Um, so if maybe I can be more specific then, um, if like you were saying, you never had the you never felt like it was safe, or you never had the chance, um, whether it's for a man or for a woman, maybe for a man to express a different kind of emotion and for a woman to express anger. Um, when it does come up, like when you finally do feel like you can express it, you were saying in the men's group too, they have a healthy way of expressing it or getting it out, like a catharsis. Um, but yeah, like can we focus on the expression versus the suppression, and the how to do that in a healthy way and not go too extreme with either, if you're not quite sure, like when anger does come up, if you're not sure if it's valid, or if of course being present with that in the moment is the solution you were saying, but just yeah, if in the moment you experience an extreme emotion, how to figure out where to direct that energy, like whether it's to express or suppress.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going also to the previous question, when we should express anger and when we keep it to ourselves and try to transform it somehow. I would say that, first of all, to not get really present. Use the heightened emotional state as an alarm clock to be like, whoa, what's going on? Let me just turn more light into the house rather than start fumbling about it and
Mm-hmm.
banging on the doors and throwing stuff out. So getting more conscious, getting more present, taking a few deep breaths to enhance the capacity to allow. Then the non-expression of reactive anger doesn't mean that I don't feel it. So one should allow it to feel it. So I'm just closing the expression, but I'm allowing this energy to move by allowing it to be here. Okay, it's in the chest, it's in the this, it's in the that. Okay, it has these thoughts now, it has these thoughts. Oh wow, that's strong thoughts. Okay, whoa, that's a lot of story. Let's bring it back to the body here, and to increase this is called conductivity, ability to be with intense emotions, let it happen. And then, as we are being with it, to investigate its origin and if it needs something, and see, is it like an egoic, deluded attitude that created this, which means that my anger or this feeling is unnecessary self-created suffering? Or is it it requires some response to the world, a healthy essence response to the world? Either way, so some of them will dissipate through investigation and nothing needs to be done. However, I have felt it, and I have, by bringing presence to it and breathing and allowing of it, this is expressing itself inside. And it's from one angle absorbed in the field in which it appears. And thus it also feeds more presence. With the other ones, we may reach clarity and we can express not anger necessarily, but we can express what we need, what we want. And sometimes, in intimate, one can even be like, hey, Gina, I'm really angry about this now. I'm really angry. So I allow myself to do that, but I am to say, hey, I'm angry now. I'm really angry about this, and I like actually to bake this a little bit. I don't want to come with this edgy energy at you.
Right.
Can we talk about it soon? Or I'm really angry about this. I'm not quite sure what this is. I feel some sadness too. So that's how I'm trying to communicate. But I'm also sensitive that, women have been so burned by male unconscious anger and so shut down. So I don't want to do that. At the same time, I want to be honest with my emotion, but not to be like a bully. There's like anger. I'm angry with you, which has in it, it's your fault, but it might not be your fault at all. Now, if someone had never had the chance to express anger and truly and never had the chance to express anger and truly, okay, so if someone was not able to express these emotions because it was unsafe or it was problematic and it comes up now, they finally feel safe, how to get over it in a healthy way. And okay, so now if this area of we had strong suppression expression, what happens with in life is that one has strong suppression of anger. At some point that will come out in a volcanic way with all the ones that we didn't express, and it's kind of jarring for the recipient of it, and you can see, whoa, that's a lot there, and that's not ideal. And then afterwards the person doesn't even know what happened, the expressor, and they feel bad about it, they feel shame about it. So ideally, this work of unwinding repression happens in a ritual container or somatic psychotherapy. And that's a specialized work where I almost help the person who they feel there is anger deep down, but they don't feel it. So there are some tricks of the trade to kind of keep stirring it. So we are almost like reviving this capacity to get angry. And then in a special circumstances, because actually it's effort for them, it will be effort to be like, no, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. How can you do this? This is an intentional container. That's not now the aim to now fly off the handle with everybody. So it's just the temporary to have a space where this can be allowed, all of these decades of not being allowed, but then training oneself when this is allowed to train the other ability to understand it and see what it needs and what it wants. Yeah, and
Great.
this cathartic thing, I mean, I don't recommend it as a way to deal with anger. There are movies like that, shoot and they're all kind of funny movies. Because if we just encourage the cathartic beating the pillow thing whenever I feel some intensity, then I don't even know why I feel like this. I don't even
Mm.
get to explore, investigate my false self. And all these strong emotions, they could be a great avenue to investigate the me. Um,
Mm. So it's more like a message to unpack when you have an extreme emotion. So instead of trying to do something with it, just to let it unfold.
yeah, from the awakening point of view, we need to let all emotions unfold internally,
Mm.
but as conscious as we can. Now is the tricky part that as we allow these emotions, there's this strong mechanism of that goes into my head. So the
Mm.
emotions finds expression in the head where I take the people to mental court. So I talk to
Mm.
them in my head as like I complain to them or I complain to somebody about them. So that's also some expression. Nothing comes outside, but inside this. So that's also that's not what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
especially in the earlier stages of being with the intensity, to not let it go in the head. I mean, it goes some thoughts, but then, okay, let's get more conscious. Let's just be with the fire and, the energy in the arms and the clenching
Mm.
and what is this? Oh, I'm angry. Okay, I'm angry. There's anger. From one angle, the right way to say it is that there is anger in me. It's like
Mm.
I is the presence. The presence, so there's anger in this presence. So in this way we have the right understanding of who is who. And
Mm.
then be like, hey, it's to allow this. It's okay to feel and allow this. I allow this. For me, I did a lot of spiritual work, but I had suppression. So I would use these transcendental techniques or that were true and correct, but they further suppressed my anger.
Mm.
And so I needed to have a few years of unwinding repression, uh,
Mm.
and then going back to the welcome, allow, be conscious of it. Now, grief. Yeah, I mean, with grief, needs to be allowed. Uh, we are afraid of sadness, of loss. This is the wound of love in some traditions that basically in this dimension, everything we love is going to go away. Every relationship will go away. We will be betrayed, abandoned, we will abandon, they will die, they will get old, they will leave. So pets will die, grandma will die. Even if you are with someone until you are 90, they will die. So that's how it works here. Somehow it's part of the deepening of our soul, this
Mm.
reality of loss. But the best way to handle loss is to allow it in this context of being as present as possible, um, allowing crying, allowing sadness, allowing tears, allowing this. Um, and again, there will be a tendency that we seem like we allow it, but we actually don't allow the actual emotions. We are suppressing it. We are afraid of it. We want it to end. We don't like it. I'm afraid to feel this. We don't. So we have a mixture of all of this longing or pining away or like, ex-girlfriend. Oh, I was like, oh, wow. I was like, oh, this, and then thoughts like, I'll never find someone like her. I will always be alone. Who is going to love me again? Yeah, this is just wallowing in it, and it's going away from the actual feeling. The actual feeling is like, dude, I'm sad. There's sadness. I want to feel this. Sad. So when it goes into these misery thoughts, we are not actually with the feeling. Yeah. So to allow the actual feeling, sensation, heartbreak, that can be very growthful. And if we do that, it won't last too long actually. If we do this well, consciously, it will diminish, 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 and then it will merge back to love. Because grief, parent dies, there's all this grief, and there's all memories. When my father died, all this for weeks, some memories of beautiful stuff from childhood, and how he touched me and how he did this, and all these beautiful things that I forgot completely, they will recycle through my system, and I will even talk to him. That's a good thing if you go through a grief with recent somebody dying. It's good to talk, to express this even to them, to speak. So if we allow all of this, the naturally discharge, the intensity is absorbed, it discharges, and we are ending up with love. However, if we resist it and we try to not feel sad, try to, oh man, I'm tired of this sadness, it means I'm wallowing in it forever, not actually processing it, not allowing it. So unfelt grief can go on for decades. Yeah, so felt grief, it moves through. Talk, but well, final piece here is that I talked somehow about certain things that many people don't even know what I'm talking about. This suppression, this repression, or even if you go on ChatGPT and ask what suppression is, it will probably tell you very correctly. But then, okay, it's not useful from one angle. So this kind of suppression, repression is it's a whole beast. It's a whole area of healing. Cannot be really done on one's own. So this requires specialized sessions. Yeah. However, it's good at least to know about this in a at least philosophical way. Whenever there is some way to recognize suppression, repression, I mean, definitely if a guy is a macho guy who is always angry and you never see him shed a tear or sharing of vulnerable emotions, it's very likely he has a vulnerability repression, like hurt, sadness, loss, fear. It's repressed, and all of that comes out in this way. Because it was considered not to be manly to feel those things. Now, if somebody also has this pleasing, good boy, always nice, I mean, from one angle, that can feel safe to a woman for some time. Because, oh wow, I'm finally with a guy who is not abusive and is super sweet and nice, but there's something missing there, and then that is going to flatten the relationship. Actually, you have safety, but there's no juice, no spark. So behind the good boy, pleaser, don't stir the waves, peacemaker, there is always a anger repressor there. Now, this repression, suppression can manifest because we push them somewhere. We avoid them and we push them somewhere. At some point, that space where we push them, it fills up. The bag of shadows is full. So if we are going to start to have chronic pain or chronic contractions that we think are physical, we're trying to escape now through various compulsions and addictions, or we go to a doctor and we think it's physical, but sometimes highly years of repression can manifest in chronic pain, chronic contractions. So I work with people like that. So, and there are ways to check into their, it really feels like it's physical and they have to go to a doctor and they should check the doctor. But when they do, there's no physical problem. And there are ways to get in there and see there's buried rage. There is anger, but I shouldn't be angry. There is sadness, but don't be weak, don't feel this. There's kind of frozen emotions there. Well, if you have any other questions or people online have some topics of interest, feel free to make a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.